Hi, I'm the Sad Panda, and this is going to be the 9th episode of my series, I Read This, Should You?, where I give you a review on a book, manga, or web novel that I've read, and you decide whether or not to read it. And of course, I'll only touch on the first 100 chapters or so to not spoil everything. But before we get into what we are reviewing now, I want to thank everyone for subscribing. We are now at 13, which is past my 10 estimate, so I'm excited. Also, I was looking through the comments, and I've responded to them. A lot of you want me to read The Homeless Millionaire, so I'm giving it a go. So look forward to a review on that in the coming week or week and a half-ish. It's going to take me a little bit to read it. I've been told that it is kind of slow for the first 100, or not first 100 chapters, for the first 20 chapters. So I will have to push through, because a lot of times when I read stories and web novels and such, I only give up like 20 chapters to get me invested in the story before I either drop it or not. So we'll see what happens when we get there, but let's move on to what we're on this episode. This episode is going to be on the manga One Punch Man. Now, I know that there is an anime, and I did watch the anime. I watched both seasons, 1 and 2, but I want to touch on the manga more because it has more of the stuff that was missing in the anime. I don't know if you know, but the second season of the anime was kind of underrated. It's underrated mostly for the fact that it seems, well, the animation isn't as good. It's a different studio, which is understandable, but the story is what keeps people disinterested, because no one really cares about Garo. No one really knows anything about him or anything like that. I mean, it's understandable because in this portion of the manga, you get more backstory and more things on Garo. So, you know, it's a lot. The manga, I think, is better than the anime. I mean, obviously, I do love the animation in the first season and the second season. There's some really fun fights, like the fight when Saitama has to pretend to be a martial artist and fight people in the little tournament that he does in the second season is one of my favorite fight scenes of the whole season. I just find it really funny. But, you know, we're going to be touching on the manga here. So let's get started. The story is essentially about, in this world, there are heroes, there are villains, and there's the Hero Association. So the world that they live in is kind of weird, as it creates like super monsters to like destroy the world. Like one of the first monsters that you see fighting Saitama is Vaccine Man, which is like the first villain that you see Saitama one punch. So the whole idea is that the world created this creature, Vaccine Man, to be the vaccine to kill all humans because they are killing the world. And Saitama just comes up and just bam, gone. Obviously, as the story is One Punch Man. Of course, Saitama is our main character, and we'll talk about him more. We'll talk about Genos, and we'll talk about all that stuff in a little bit here. Now, the Hero Association is, of course, just like any power scaling thing, there is different like threat levels, and different threat levels are assigned to different level heroes, like S-rank heroes, which is usually the best 99% of the time. Like there's rank 1 Blast. We don't know what he looks like or anything in the first 100 chapters, but we know that he is the rank 1. We have rank 2, Tsusamaki. I don't know how to say it. Probably this T is silent, but I don't know. I'm not Japanese. But you know, that is how it goes. You got a bunch of like high ranking people, but you also have some like low ranking, like Tank Top Master, or no, Tank Top Master is the S rank. There's like Tank Top Hero. There's like a bunch of Tank Top people that are like lower ranked heroes. Now Saitama is what he considers a hero for fun. So when he was like a salaryman, he wanted to get more out of life, more excitement. And as he's walking home one day, he sees a crab monster called Crabulon, I do believe. And he is like hunting to kill a kid, a butt-chinned kid, because he drew nipples on his crab body. And the crab is like, I'm a monster, dude. You can't just do that. And Saitama is like, well, I'm a salaryman. That's not my problem. So he leaves instead of getting killed by Crabulon, because Crabulon's like, you have the same kind of dead eyes that I did. And like eventually, like the crab sees the kid, is about to kill him, and then Saitama gets in the fight and gets beat up pretty bad. But then he kills Crabulon and he gets like this fire in his eye. And like his goal becomes, I want to be the guy that could kill a monster in one punch. I want to be so powerful that I can save everyone or whatever. But eventually that fire fades as he does become One Punch Man. Everyone calls him the Cape Baldy when he eventually signs up for the Hero Association because that's all they know about him. Then no one ever sees his feats. Like, it is a comedy manga. Of course, it's on Shonen Jump and it's on Viz. So, you know, it's considered a shonen, but in my opinion, it's like a seinen. It's like a comedy seinen because there's a lot of deep topics that if you look into the story that you can see, like Saitama loses his fire, you know, everyone, if you have a job, even if you love the job, eventually you'll probably like still love the job and still love the thing that you do, but it just doesn't have the same. It's like diminishing returns, almost. Something that happens with Saitama, and he like has no friends or anything, and he ends up staying by himself. And the way the story progresses is that Saitama is like relearning to feel emotion, I guess. That's like, he meets this secondary character named Genos after a mosquito lady tries to like kill the entire town he's in, or this city Z. There's a bunch of different cities. There's, I think, city A through Z. I think that's just a thing. But he meets Genos, and Genos is about to die, and then Saitama one punches the lady. Well, doesn't even one punch her, just slaps her, and she flies into the wall and blows up into blood because it is a seinen, in my opinion. Genos is like, wow, you're so powerful. I want you to be my master. And he's like, whatever, I guess, you know, whatever that entails. Eventually, they become like, I guess friends would be what I would say, well, what Saitama would say, because it's not like he can really teach Genos anything because Genos is a cyborg. So it's like even the limitations of humans, which eventually gets brought up, like Saitama is beyond like the limitations of a human because he broke his quote unquote limiter, but that's a different thing. But Genos, like, he can't really be taught stuff. He can learn tactics and things, but he can't, like, improve his body because he's, like, 90% cybernetic. Like, I think the only part of him that isn't cybernetic is, like, his face and, like, hair. Everything else is pretty much cybernetic. Like, I think his brain is, like, I don't even think he has a brain. I think it's, like, all circuitry because in almost every fight that Genos is in, he gets absolutely demolished, like just wrecked, just destroyed. And that's like the joke, because when they take the test to get into the Hero Association, because Saitama, when the story is like starting and getting into it, he's not a part of the Hero Association. He is a hero for fun. So it's like a side hobby thing. But when Saitama and Genos do take the test to become a hero, Saitama ends up being, I think, a C rank hero, even though he has like the highest like physical stats, his like mental stats isn't all there. And Genos ends up being an S rank. But no matter what fight they get in, like 90% of the time, if there's a fight, Genos is going to get just absolutely demolished. And One Punch Man, Saitama, is going to show up and bop one time. But of course, he's not going to get the credit because people think that he just shows up late, which is true. He shows up late like 90% of the time. It's a running gag that Saitama is always late. Like, there's a video game that came out. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's a fighting game where you can play as Saitama. And of course, he's overpowered, but you don't get to use the character for 2 minutes into the match. So you have to survive to 2 minutes and then you get Saitama and win. And that's like the whole idea. But you don't have to play Saitama, but that's about the game, whatever. The idea is that Saitama is always late because he has to run everywhere, even though he's like super speed, like he's super fast. Like some of the fastest characters in the entire manga don't have Saitama beat 100% in speed. Like Flashy Flash, which is an S rank hero, which is considered the fastest hero, like after like Blast, which is the #1 hero. Saitama can keep pace with him super easy. Or Sonic, which is another character that is super fast. And yes, it is called Sonic, like the Hedgehog. Sonic is like a nemesis to Saitama, even though Sonic has never like landed a hit on Saitama. He's too fast, he's too strong, that kind of thing. Saitama is, from what I can tell, he's like suffering from like a depression, right? Like, he doesn't find joy in what he does, even though he does it. and he has no friends, he has no social life. It's really kind of sad when you think about it, like the way Saitama has to deal with the strength that he got. Like sometimes it's like the quote, "Be careful what you wish for, you just might get it." Like he wanted to be so strong that he could beat every villain in one serious punch, which he can do. And the fights are no longer fun. Like it's no longer being a hero for fun. It's just, I'm a hero and I save people because I'm strong enough to do so. Not because it is fun, because it's really not. Because he doesn't have that kind of enjoyment. Like in the end of the first season, they have that big fight with Boros, which is like the craziest fight in the whole like anime. And even then, Saitama only punched him seriously one time. And he died in one punch. Now, obviously, there was a whole fight before then where Saitama was just kind of taking punches and not really taking damage, because that's how Saitama works. You know, it is like that. Now, I talked a little bit earlier about the broken limiter. Now, early in the story, the character says that Saitama has broken his limiter. So in this world, all humans have like a limit of how strong you can become. No matter what your tenacity is, well, not no matter what your tenacity is, but 99.99% of people cannot go past this limiter because it is the limit of the world. So if Saitama were to get super serious, we don't know how powerful he actually is because he never really has to. Like a lot of calculations with the webcomic, which if you don't know, One Punch Man started as a webcomic, and then it moved to a manga, and then it moved to an anime, and that's how we have now. So of course the new like chapters or whatever will come out for the webcomic, and then the manga, and then the anime. Right now in the manga, they're at the, well, I'm not going to talk about that because it's 130 chapters, so no. I totally forgot what I was going to say. I'm not going to lie, I totally forgot. I'm trying to, I have a short list of stuff to talk about, but I try to do it mostly off the cuff so you get my full reaction of the story. And when I get excited, I talk fast, so that's why that is a thing. Saitama has, I talked about Saitama's sadness that he has, but he eventually meets friends and, well, gets friends like Blizzard, which is the top B rank hero. There's also King, which is an S rank hero that profits off Saitama's work. If you've read the manga or if you watched season 2 of the anime, King is always around when Saitama does his thing, his one punch thing. So no one's seen King fight. There's the killing engine or something, like it's called something like that. It's like when King's like heart is like beating really hard, like you can hear it outside like of his person. So if you're like standing next to him, you can hear like a rub, 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 rub. Like you can hear that, and people call it the killing engine because when people hear it, they die. But obviously he's not strong. Like that's the joke. I love the comedy aspects of this. I like the idea that Saitama is super strong, but is considered one of the weakest heroes. And I like that King is super weak, and he's considered one of the strongest. So much so that he scares villains, like monsters, to death. There's a scene in the manga where King is like standing in a hallway, and his heart's like boom, 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 boom. And there's a invisible monster that thinks he's got the drop on King. And he hears this boom, 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 boom. And this monster is like, does he know where I am? And then King like turns around because King thinks he hears something, and he turns around and like looks in the direction of the monster, and the monster gets so scared he comes out of stealth and dies. He has a heart attack and dies. And King, obviously, the killing engine isn't a thing. What it is his heart beating so hard because he is so scared. That is the whole idea. He's so scared that his heart is beating so loud that you can hear it. But people think that that's when King gets serious. That's, oh man, if you hear that, you're as good as dead. And people believe this. And it's because whenever King, like this happens, it turns out Saitama is there. Like Vaccine Man, like I talked about earlier, was the first villain that we see in One Punch Man. And obviously Saitama one punches this guy. But it turns out that King got the credit for that. That's the whole reason why King is considered this S-rank hero, because King got the credit for that kill. And after that, it's just been a continuous thing that's been happening in the background that we've just never noticed. And I absolutely adore this story. One of the comments told me that I should make more theories about what's going to happen in the story. And I think that right now we're getting to the point where Saitama, in the manga, Saitama is going to fight Goro. Yeah, it's Garo. Garo, Garo is getting to his, like, final form. So what you don't know about Garo in the anime, that you kind of see, but not all that much, is Garo's undergoing the transformation to a monster. So in this world, if you do something enough, like Crabulon in the beginning, like he ate a shit ton of crab. Like that's his thing. He ate a bunch of crab and he became Crabulon. So if you do something, or if you believe enough in something, you can become a monster. You will gain more power, but you will become like an embodiment of what you have done, like eat the crab. Or in Garo's case, he wants to be the strongest villain. And he thinks that villains shouldn't always lose, because villains also have their own goals, they have dreams, and it's not fair in his mind that only the heroes get to choose, only the heroes get to win. And in his mind, that's not right. So he's in the anime, you see he goes under his like transformation, he gets like the one red eye, and like even though he cares about the kid, he's still like a bad guy. Well, at this point in time, all we've seen Garo do is get bodied by Saitama over and over again. Now, I've read a little bit after where I'm at in the manga of the webcomic, and I couldn't go through it because it's not beautiful, okay? I'm a sucker for art. That's why I really like Kimetsu no Yaiba, which is Demon Slayer. I really like High School, or God of High School, because the animation is really great. I'm a sucker for good animation. That's why just like I like No Game, No Life, I am a sucker for animation. So it was really hard for me to get through like the webcomic, but I do kind of know what's coming up. So I do think that Garo is going to fight Saitama, and I don't think Saitama is going to take it seriously, just like normal. But of course, there could be, I watched some fan theories a little bit on One Punch Man. There are some thoughts that it'll take some actual punches for Saitama to like beat Garo, even though Garo isn't going to like die. That's what I've been seeing, but that's what I know. So honestly, if you like comedy anime that can make you laugh sometimes and make you sad sometimes, I think One Punch Man is definitely worth your time. This is a little longer, but I just got to rambling. That's just what happens when I'm excited about something. So I would give this an 8.5, 8.56. Yeah, an 8.56 out of 10 on One Punch Man. If you like my content, leave a comment and a like. Also, subscribe if you haven't. And if you don't like my content, please leave a comment and I will respond to it. I respond to all my comments as soon as I see them. So sometimes it's within 20 minutes, sometimes it's within a couple hours, but I will see it and I will respond to it. Just letting you know that. Thank you.